you seen any of our Beer Biceps
I
memes?
actually do.
Play this also. आप कैसे हो?
बढ़िया हूँ.
क्यों बढ़िया हो?
Why? Hey, are you ashamed of your body of work? Like,
No.
that sounds very creepy, man.
If you read any of the comment sections, it's very sexual. What age pressure has been put on you in your life?
99% men telling this woman that like, how dare you not have a child? Like, what is this arrogance that you have in yourself to not have a child? Literally, no one is obligated to love you. It like hurts like very hard.
What do girls talk to each other about? Bioclock and all that.
Women's healthcare is not fun for us at any stage.
What do girls go to gynecologists for in the early 20s? And there are people who've frozen their egg. Sperm freezing is so much more different.
Yeah, sperm freezing, I guess, is fun for you guys.
I wonder why this jumping between relationships thing is becoming so common now.
And this generation is also like a lot more open about what they want than we ever were. People are having sex. That's a great thing for them. Like, more power to them, you know. Like
You're talking about Gen Zs.
Yeah.
Do you think Instagram triggers too much, for lack of better words, horniness in people? I see that with a lot of guy friends of mine. They see something on Instagram and either they use porn or they use dating apps to cope. Welcome to the world of men. With this whole young heart attack, young cancer situation, in the coming decade, we're probably going to lose friends. New year, new chairs, but same old TRS. This is not exactly your typical TRS conversation. It's a lot more casual. It's a conversation between two 30-year-olds. It just happens to be that this person is my best friend. She's been my best friend since the age of 13. I've known her since the age of 9. So there's an extreme amount of chemistry. And she's my answer to the question where people ask you once in a while, can a girl and a guy actually be friends? The truth is yes, especially if it's a friendship that began in childhood. So this is a very raw, very real, very relaxed conversation with Nandini Shenoy. She's been on the episode before. She's been loved by you before. And if you're around my age, I think you'll connect with this conversation even more. It's a very easygoing listen. Enjoy. It's TRS with Nandini Shenoy. Happy 2024.
Oh, happy 2024. I didn't realize you were still talking to me. I thought you were like doing a Q-up. Yeah.
What's up, my girlfriend?
I'm very excited for the new year because it offers a period of state break for me. So I'm hoping to like take this momentum and bring like some better things into my life.
What is state break?
Like, it's just a break from whatever like mental and physical state that you've kind of been like rolling around in autopilot. I think more than anything, the new year just like offers that opportunity to kind of reset. And so yeah, generally my momentum dies by about like 15 Jan, but I'm trying to stretch it till the end of Feb this year, and then we'll see what happens.
You know, on 1st Jan, after you've woken up, early on in life, it used to be after you've woken up with a hangover. I've not been drinking for like 5 years. I don't even think you drink too much anymore.
No.
So when we wake up sober,
Yeah.
on 1st Jan, there's a very peaceful vibe in the air. I don't know if that's something you feel as well.
I think it's also because a lot of people are asleep at that point. So like it's just nice. But yeah, I actually went to sleep at like I don't know, 11:30 or 12:30 this year. I was at home.
Turning 30.
Yeah, I know. I love it. I spent some time at home with like my family, and like I went to sleep pretty early. It was nice and very boring, but thoroughly restorative.
Dude, I can see how my preferences are becoming so much more mellow as I head into my 30s.
Yeah.
Like, I just want mellowness in every aspect.
I think I'm going through a major nesting phase where I want to just like make the house that I really love, you know, like so suddenly I've started just getting into like interiors and getting into like different paint colors and what paint colors look nice with like what furniture and things like that, which is like Which I think if I had told 20-year-old me this like 10 years ago, she would have like just like scoffed and gone like, what an auntie. But like, I'm very proud of my auntie status right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people generally our age are going through this nesting phase situation. It's like when you enter a mall, you actually look out for the home decor store.
Yeah,
And then you
exactly.
realize, I'm old.
Yeah, I know. I told you that I saw a really like cute spaceman at Sadhguru, which was like, I really wanted for my house.
Yeah.
But yeah,
What do we talk about today?
I don't know. Let's talk about growing up
It's
and dealing with being 30.
dealing with being 30.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like actually maybe not dealing with might not be the right word, because I feel like there was this huge existential crisis that is associated with turning 30, because it's like, oh my God, now you're just going to turn old. But honestly, one, my life hasn't seemed that significantly different. Maybe just like the addition of a 3 in front of my age has just like made me less susceptible to like what people think about me, because it's like my 20s ran out. What was the point of thinking about what opinions other people have? But other than that, like, I don't feel very different, but I think you're supposed to, like, when you turn 30, right? Isn't there that like expectation that like your life changes in some way?
I can give you the guy perspective. At least this is all my friends who happen to be super into some kind of fitness or sports situation. All the guys are going through a lot of injuries randomly, and those injuries are taking time to recover. Yeah, they're taking time to heal. That's the big difference you see as a guy, which honestly, it might sound stupid, but it's a little emasculating. Like you feel like, oh,
You're not as infallible as you thought you were.
what is infallible?
As in meaning like you're not as invincible as you thought you were.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Your masculinity gets challenged a little bit. Especially if you're into fitness regularly through your 20s, you get injured a lot, but your injuries recover like that.
yeah.
Little bullshit like, picking up a suitcase will randomly injure your shoulder and you'll be like, wait, I could do this like very well 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Happened.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot. Like if I go and pick up my like garbage bags and they're a little too heavy, then the next day I'll have back pain. Like it's a lot.
This year honestly has been both personally and professionally very painful for me. Like I've gone through failures, trauma, rejection, one intense breakup also, to the point where I've really gotten melancholic. Is that the way you say it?
Yeah.
What is melancholy?
It's like sad, like a sadness like mixed with longing, kind of.
I kind of look at it as a happy way of looking at sadness.
Yeah, it's like a bittersweet feeling. Have you seen Inside Out?
Yeah.
So you know that thing in Inside Out where she's trying to run away from sadness, and so then sadness disappears, and then at the end they're talking about those memories, and they show her that like that happy memory also had like that sad memory also had like a bit of happiness connected to it, and which is what makes the memory so meaningful. That is what they're trying to describe, is the feeling of melancholy.
Yeah, there's this band called Cigarettes After Sex, which everyone our age listens to, at least in Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, and generally all over the world. I've seen everyone in our age group listens a lot to Cigarettes After Sex because it's very similar to the music we used to listen to in our teenage. Like we used to listen to a lot of Green Day and Papa Roach. It's kind of an extension of that.
Yeah, with I think slightly deeper lyrics.
I hear a lot of people listening to Cigarettes After Sex. I don't see a lot of Gen Zs listening to Cigarettes After Sex. Okay. And there's a very close Gen Z bro of mine who I work with. I was traveling with him in Australia and he hated Cigarettes After Sex. And Cigarettes After Sex is very melancholic music. It's kind of sad, but it's also not sad. It's very like sad.
It's filled with longing.
It's sad with an element of love. I don't know how to explain it. It's like the people who've composed that music and who have written the lyrics have come to terms with their own sadness. And I see everyone our age listening to that music. I don't see too many young people listening to that music. And that makes me think that, okay,
maybe
they
haven't reached that level of sadness yet.
That's what your 20s do to you. And no one tells you about this in school, that actually your 20s will throw these very big knockout punches at you.
Yeah.
Which also makes me think that it's not just your 20s, but life probably will throw these knockout punches at you. Like so many knockout punches which are way bigger actually coming towards us.
Yeah, I mean, life has a way of kind of evening everything out. When I was younger, I used to feel that like karma was like a crock of shit. I used to feel that like, oh, bad things happen to good people, good things happen to bad people, and that's just like how it works these days.
Why did you think like that?
I don't know, like things that were happening at that time that made me feel that way. But with time, I've kind of realized that everything is what am I thinking of?
Karma.
It's like a wave, like for every like good time you have, like you will also have bad times, and life evens everything out. And your 20s, I feel, are just one long 10-year exercise in being humbled by life, like over and over and over again. Like there will be plenty of good things that will happen to you, but like the rest of it is just like, it's like every time you think that, okay, like I have this figured out, it's like life going like, no, you don't. Like, think again.
Which is why intense breakups or intense forms of failure or rejection get easier to deal with as you age.
Let's hope. I think the rejection bit of it, sure. I think I've been through quite a bit of that at this point. So, like, I think now I don't care so much about that. I will probably like think about it and brood about it for like an hour or so, and then I'll just move on. When it comes to breakups and stuff, it's just like, it's a lot, it's not just the breakup itself. It's like whatever aspirations you've kind of attached to that relationship, however much you've kind of integrated. Then you have like so much information about a person, like just random information that's just sitting in your brain because at some point you've cataloged it there. And to kind of get rid of all of that, I feel like takes a little bit of time, and I'm determined to do it right. I'm not doing this male repression shit. Like I just want to like, figure it out correctly so that I don't drag more trauma into my life going forward.
I think I'm doing the male repression shit.
I know, which is why I called you out on it.
You know why I'm saying that? Because I was about to say that I've cried so much this year that I think my tears have like dried out.
That happens for a while. Actually, that happened to me also. In the middle, in about July or so, where I wept so much, like constantly, that I think from August to September I couldn't feel anything. Like I
Yeah.
just couldn't. Like my body couldn't produce any more tears.
That's, yeah.
But that happens. But that's also a phase, because this time in December, I wake up every day and I have a cry. Like every single day, I have a cry. And I know that a lot of people would like to tell me that, like, oh, don't, like, it's not worth it and you shouldn't cry about these things and all. But I honestly feel it is a part of my healing to, like,
Yeah.
cry about it and get it out of my system. Like, it makes me feel more stable. It feels like, okay, I have dealt with my feelings in the morning, and it actually makes me feel a lot more positive about the rest of the day. So yeah, it'll come back. If you're cried out right now, it's okay. Give it a few months.
No, I actually feel nice about it. I feel very flatlined. I'll tell you why. Because this was also the biggest professional year for me. So it was very weird seeing the two things happening. Like personal life was and professional life was great. And then the world only sees the shiny exterior without understanding what's happening on the interior.
Yeah.
But by the end of the year now, dude, I had like this family vacation which I came back from 2 days ago. It was like a 2-3 day thing. It was very lavish and I paid for it. And I took my nana, nani, mama, mommy, 2 cousins, mom and sister, her husband, and my niece out. So it was like 4 generations of the family. And
I'm sure that was very satisfying.
it gave me more professional motivation. So it kind of, the thing is, I'm in my heart, I'm still a fitness trainer where my career began. So I count every rupee. So there was a moment where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm spending like a fair amount of money. And the moment I saw all the experiences that unfolded in those 2 days, and there was a lot of heavy duty experiences, dude. My grandparents are 90. It's difficult for them to travel. So this is one of the last travel experiences in life, and the whole family has come to terms with it. They've come to terms with it.
Yeah.
I remember on 31st December, the sunset I was seeing from that villa we were in. Okay. I'm doing my meditation with my mala. And my nana's sitting down and he's doing his meditation with the mala. And the whole family is just chilling. And we both internally know that we're both doing it together and praying for the good vibes for the family. And we're just looking at each other, looking at the sunset. And he stopped his mala. He looked at me. He's like, that's a great sunset. I was like, yeah, that is. And then we kept doing it. And then the sun set. Colors start changing. And we're still meditating. And that's probably the biggest core memory I've developed with my nana when he's like 91 years old. Dude, it re-injected me with a little bit of emotion. I was feeling very emotionless by the end of the year. I was like, oh, I'm just a batsman batting doing all these podcasts, doing my professional commitments. I don't really have any emotions.
Actually, family has a way of kind of doing that to you. Like we've discussed this, right? How like people tend to regress around like people who have seen them when they are younger. And I think that also to an extent happens with family where you kind of, I guess, feel a little bit safer to
Yeah.
be emotional.
Not judged.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, I just said, right, like, oh, I've been waking up every day and crying and whatever. But I honestly, I guess I connected the dots right now that I probably feel like it's safe for me to cry because I'm doing it at home. Whereas, like, when I'm not here or whatever, I'm just like going about my day, because I'm just like, I don't want to think about this shit. And so, like, I'm like, let me just like pile on as many things as I can in one day so I don't have to think about it and do the odd repressed guy shit. So like yeah, maybe that is what it is. Like you feel close to people and that emotional like intimacy allows you to feel vulnerable.
What is repressed guy shit? Generally speaking, do you see a lot of Indian guys around you at least? Or you're studying in America, so that's a general guy question, not just Indian guys.
I don't know that I can speak for like guys overall, but like from what I've seen, like I feel that if you're not dealing with how you feel about a breakup and you're just like kind of jumping into something else or jumping into someone else, like that is not, I don't think it's healthy. And I also feel like it's not super fair to the person that you're kind of doing that to, unless you guys talk about it and you both know that it's like a super casual thing where you're not going to be interested in them at all. Um, I think dragging baggage from your past relationships because you haven't like resolved it is, I think it's very unfair to the person that you'd be in a relationship with because why should they have to do it? They also deserve a whole person, and they also have their own baggage. So why drag it in? Just like deal with your stuff. It's okay. One can be alone for a little while. In general, I feel that like I think people don't place enough value on being single. I don't know why the mentality has become that like, oh, if I'm single, I must date someone immediately or I must like find someone. Like it's okay. Like you should first learn to be okay with your own company, learn to feel like more settled and calm in yourself, uh, kind of explore what things actually matter to you, what are the things that make you feel alive that have nothing to do with anyone else. And then I feel go ahead, like go forth and do whatever you want.
I wonder why this jumping between relationships thing is becoming so common now. And my answer to that is probably dating apps.
I mean, dating apps are the means. Dating apps are not the cause, right? Like
The
they
cause is
they're
loneliness.
I would think so because I think that as much as like everyone goes like, oh, the digital world has connected us so much or whatever, I feel that connection is entirely notional. Like it's like in theory, I am connected to my friend Ranveer all the time, but in practicality, we talk maybe once a month or like once in 2 months, depending on what both our schedules are, right? So I think it's like everyone I don't know. I think it's like that. There's a divide between like what you're expecting versus what the reality is, and in that divide, people end up getting like really lonely. Is my kind of reading of it because you're expecting your life to be like full of like friends and fun. Like the amount of reels that I saw about like, oh, this was my 2023 with like people with the like 100 different videos of their friends and whatever. And like, despite the fact that I know that Instagram is a highlights reel, like a small part of me felt bad. I'm like, where was I doing? Like, what was I doing in this like year, right?
Do you think Instagram triggers too much, for lack of better words, horniness in people? I see that with a lot of guy friends of mine. You see something on Instagram and either they use porn or they use dating apps to cope.
Uh, I wouldn't know honestly because I I don't know anyone who's using Instagram for that. To be very honest with you,
For what?
for to like just look at pictures of women or to like
Welcome to the world of men.
I guess I would like to hope that not all men are basically just sitting and using their Instagram to like scam on chicks.
I do think that a lot of guys' Instagrams, not all, but a lot of guys' Instagrams are extremely sexual. Not all, but many, especially when you're younger and your testosterone is much higher, etc. I think Instagram is a fairly sexual place. Instagram is full of sexuality, dude.
I guess.
It's not the same for women?
I can't speak for women. Everyone's Instagram is different. My Instagram is like, it tells me food things, it tells me geopolitical things, it tells me movie things, it tells me like random gossip. And for whatever reason, I hear way too much about Taylor Swift and her dating life. But that
Really?
just seems to be the news cycle. So, yeah, my Instagram is, I don't think hypersexual, to be very honest, but that just might be a product of who I am because I'm not on Instagram for that.
I get what you're saying. My Instagram used to definitely be sexual in my mid 20s until I realized that why the is my Instagram so sexual? And I realized
Yeah,
that it's a very normal urban guy problem. I remember unfollowing a lot of accounts who had followed probably in my teenage, in my early 20s. And I remembered unfollowing a lot of uh, content creators in general, dude, or at least muting a lot of content creators because I was bored of their content. And my Instagram suddenly turned into a sports Instagram. So now I get a lot of cricket, football, basketball, MMA reels. I get a lot of motivational stuff. I get a lot of like productivity stuff. I remember there was this guy called Eric Jorgensen who had come on the show way back, like in 2020. He said that your Twitter can be a very big self-help tool, but you need to regularly follow and unfollow accounts to tell the algorithm what you want. So I used that on Twitter and then I actively started doing it on Instagram in 2020. So we were what, like 27 in 2020? Around that time, everything switched up. And now it's like, it's not really a sexual trigger anymore, but I see it being a sexual trigger for a lot of my friends.
Your libido is more socially acceptable now.
Libido, yeah, true.
Which it wasn't, like when we were younger or whatever, like our generation still did whatever they wanted to do. But that being said, at a societal level, I don't think it was still like so okay, it was still like bacche shaadi karke sex kar lo, like it was still at that level. And people do what they want is a different thing, but like I just mean societally. I think now maybe like people don't care as much. It's not so much of a hot button issue, like whether people are having sex or not, which thank God. I mean, like, how is it anyone else's business what people are doing, behind closed doors? But yeah, I think it's just that. I think it's more socially acceptable. And this generation is also like, I think, a lot more open about what they want than we ever were. And that's a great thing for them. Like, more power to them, like.
You're talking about Gen Zs.
Yeah. They're a lot more vocal and a lot more expressive about what they want than what we were. What I love about them is like some of the boundaries they set in a work environment that we were too chicken shit to do when like we were in those situations.
Like?
I think they're good at setting up boundaries and going like, these are the things that I will do and these are the things that I won't do, which can be a little bit of a double-edged sword because at the end of the day, you need experience to actually, get anywhere professionally. But I like the fact that they set boundaries and they know their worth and all of those things. I feel that our generation didn't really have at that stage.
Again, the flip side is when you see someone setting up boundaries like that, as the manager, as the boss, then you don't feel like giving the opportunity there as well.
Yeah.
You feel like giving the opportunity to a person who's willing to do anything.
Yeah, and so I understand from a manager perspective why that might be why that might be the way you want to go, but it's also not great from a work life perspective if you think of that person who you're hiring who's like saying that main kuch bhi karega, like on some level it's nice because they have that kind of drive, but on another level they are going to essentially trample over any other thing in their life to just do this job or whatever. And I'm saying that from a place of experience because I was one of those people where I went like, "Main to kuch bhi karega, tu bol," and like it completely wreaked havoc on my personal life.
That is very luck dependent. If you had a very exploitative manager or an exploitative boss, then
maybe maybe
then it's a bad situation. But if you're in a good positive energy work environment, that kuch bhi karega mentality can really forward your career.
Yeah, but that switch hasn't happened here yet. It's the
fair.
majority of managers are still exploitative. The ones that like who see your kuch bhi karega and have enough integrity of their own to go like, okay, but I don't want to exploit you. I appreciate the fact that you show up and you do what's more than required, but here's the time that you need for yourself because you need to be a person. Those managers are very few and far in between, coupled with the fact that like our Indian luminaries also say things like, oh, people should work for 70, 80 hours a week. Honestly, that kind of is, you're exploiting whatever youth we have, and I don't know what good that's going to do anyone to have like an entirely burnt out working class by the time everyone is 40.
What age pressure has been put on you in your life?
Honestly, I am very lucky with my parents. My parents don't put a lot of age pressure on me. I think a lot of the pressure that I have comes from myself only, and based on the kind of things that I consume on the internet. Like currently, I feel like I don't know whether I want kids or not. Okay.
Really?
And for the longest time, I was very like, oh, I don't want children and I'm not interested in having children and whatever. I don't know if it's just a product of my getting older and my uterus trying to trick me, or it was a product of the fact that I warmed up to having kids in my last relationship, whatever. Um, Now I'm not sure. And one of the only things that I think frustrates me about the age thing is that women have a expiry date on their fertility, and so now I am going through this thing of like, should I freeze my eggs so that at least I essentially buy myself more time, because I know myself enough to know that if say like the baby fever like really kicks in, by the time I'm like 37, I just don't want to be one of those people who like does like a quickie wedding just so that I can have kids. Like I don't want to settle for someone who might not necessarily be right for me just because I don't want to miss the boat on having kids. So
Okay. I want to ask you so much more about this because this is something that guys don't ever experience probably until they're 50 or 60.
I heard apparently that's a myth that like male fertility also lasts for
Really?
like also has a expiry date, but I think it just becomes like significantly lower there rather than going away.
As in, it's difficult to get.
But I don't know. I'm not spreading pseudoscience on the show. Okay, like I
Oh,
don't.
really?
I don't know.
No,
I
that's
don't know.
a
I don't
fun
know.
statement. uh, my point is like, okay, when I have conversations with guys my age, we never talk about fertility. Okay, we talk about injuries and sometimes career pressure, the pressure of taking care of aging parents. That's another conversation that comes up. But we never have conversations about bio clocks and fertility. I see that a lot of girls who are my age or my friends, which is you and few other people, you guys talk a lot about bio clocks, and actually as a guy I kind of feel bad like a little bit because this is a very weird kind of pressure on you guys.
I mean, yeah, of course we talk about it because one, everyone is keenly aware that your fertility is not going to last forever. Second, on a very societal conditioning level, like we are kind of made to feel that our value lies in like us having children.
Like how?
Uh, so I don't know if I should talk about this, but you sent me a video recently about that whatever that girl who's like 35 years old and has decided not to have kids and like she wants to just live her life for fun. I went through the comments of that video. The video itself was really innocuous and it was like sweet and whatever. Went through the comments of that video and it was like 500 straight comments of like 99% men telling this woman that like, how dare you not have a child, what is this arrogance that you have in yourself to not have a child? Don't you know that the whole point of human beings is that we should procreate and we have to like whatever, further our lines? My god, what a conceited thought that your line is the one that needs furthering, but whatever. And it's just I don't know, like it feels like a woman who has decided like that, oh, I don't want children. She like somehow on some subconscious level just like loses value because the only thing that she has to offer society is that she can have children. And that in itself is a little bit shitty because we have more to offer the world, and it's like to put us into a box of like, oh, you are just here to like pop out the next generation so that our human line can continue, like is like a little sad.
What do girls talk to each other about when they're our age?
A lot of things.
about this topic, about this bio clock and all that?
Nothing. I think at the moment, the conversation that I've kind of been having with everyone is, are you planning to freeze your eggs? I'm planning to freeze my eggs.
And
Like,
there are people who've frozen their eggs.
yeah, and I don't know about people who have frozen their eggs. I think everyone that I know is like currently in the consideration phase, because there are things to consider, right? Because there are storage charges, and like it's not an easy process. It's not like gaye or bola chhe anda nikalo or chhe anda nikla, you know? Like it's like whatever. You have to, for 6 months you have to do like hormone therapy, and like there's a lot that goes into it. So, and it's obviously very taxing on the body also to have your eggs harvested.
What is hormone therapy?
Again, I don't want to, like, you should talk to a doctor about it.
All I know is that it's supposed to be painful, like slightly painful.
No, so I think you have to take injections for like a few months so that like essentially your body starts producing more eggs. So your body essentially produces one egg per month, which eventually comes out in the form of your period when your like inner uterus lining kind of disintegrates. I don't know how much detail you want on this, but yeah, so like that is essentially what your period is. So your body basically releases one egg. Now, if you're trying to get your eggs frozen, you need your body to release more eggs than normal. So you essentially go through hormone therapy where you're giving yourself like hormone injections so that it releases more eggs at that time. That is at a very base level what it is.
Sperm freezing is so much more different.
Yeah, sperm freezing, I guess, is fun for you guys.
Sperm freezing is something we could do since we're kids.
Yeah, but you know what? Women's healthcare is not fun for us at any stage. Like, so.
At any stage.
I mean, no form of healthcare for us is particularly fun. Like, I had so while I was in the US, I found like a mass, and so then I went to the doctor to get it checked out and whatever. I cannot tell you a more dehumanizing experience than like going for those like scans and like just having stuff happen to you while you're like just standing like impotent, not knowing what to do. So yeah, it's not fun. Maybe it's healthcare overall that feels dehumanizing, and you just feel like a sack of meat, and you're kind of just reminded that you are literally a sack of meat that has like a few rudimentary thoughts. But yeah, it's not super fun. Gynac visits are not super fun.
There's no guy equivalent of this. Young guy equivalent. I think older guys, there is an equivalent where your prostate gets problems, but there's no young guy equivalent of this. Like, I don't have to go to my andrologist. All the girls I know have a gynecologist. Like, they have a standard gynecologist.
Yeah, because a lot of women also have PCOD and stuff, right? Which you guys don't have to deal with.
There's no guy equivalent of it. Probably like maybe some cases of erectile problems, but that's as far as it gets.
But not at your age though, right?
There are psychological problems which turn into erectile problems.
Okay.
But that's as
Learn
far
something
as
new every day.
That's as far as it goes for guys. With you guys, it's like it's a very complex system that requires a regular gynac visit, which I find so.
We have very complex plumbing going on inside. Is all I can say.
What do girls go to gynecologists for in their early 20s?
Like a basic health checkup.
Just checkups.
Yeah, like you go to make sure that like you don't have PCOD, are your periods on track. Like a lot of the times you also go to check out like if you have like hormonal acne and stuff, you go get some tests done. That kind of stuff. In the US, things are a little bit more invasive than they are in India. Like in the US, it's not like super uncommon to kind of get like your vagina checked out and stuff, but I think here they try to avoid doing that still because I think there is like I think they just don't want to be too invasive, but at the same time I don't know who that's really helping. Like health is health, virgin or not, you know, like
the one thing that I find a little strange is that in the coming decade, as 30-31-year-olds, in the coming decade, we're probably going to lose friends with this whole young heart attack, young cancer situation. Like I've had a lot of doctors on the show, like who talk about young people's health problems because of lifestyle, liver problems, heart problems, etc., etc. So in the coming decade, we're going to be losing friends.
Yeah, it's what I think about a lot actually, because
Why?
in the coming decade, a decade from now, we will be like 40 going on 41. And I think sometimes I worry about like all the things that we will lose, in like this decade, which is like such a glass half empty way to look at things. You will gain a lot of stuff also. But like in my 20s, I feel like the thing that I lost the most that I really regret is like my childhood a little bit. Like
Oof.
I feel like I lost my like
Yeah,
inner innocence, and it like to a large extent it got taken away from me
that
in
is.
one of those situations which you obviously know. And that was really up, because like I feel like one eventually you have to let go of your inner child. You can hold on to parts of it, but to kind of have it ripped away from you is it took me a really long time to kind of get over that. So
That's
the
so nice a sentence. It's sad, but it's a very important kind of sad. What did you
yeah,
say?
but it's to be done on your terms. It can't be taken away from you by someone else. You have to have the agency to let it go.
For me, it happened when I failed in engineering college, and people treated me different after I failed. And I realized, wow, this is how the world treats failures.
Yeah.
And it just toughened me up. And then there was a bad breakup at 25, 26. These are the two very, very important character building, yet inner child murdering moments of my life. Which is so important to go through. And everyone has to go through a version of this in their 20s.
What was the hardest one for you to hear? The hardest one for me to kind of accept, which killed my inner child a little bit, was that I can't expect unconditional love from anyone
Yeah, other than your parents.
other than my parents. But like that one was a hard one to like kind of accept. And it sounds like, oh, like it can at a superficial level. Haan, theek hi hai, you can't expect no like that. But if you really internalize it and understand it for what it means and the implications that you have and how literally no one is obligated to love you, it like hurts, like it really hits very hard. So,
The practical way of doing that is spending time with your family and spending time with friends who you actually care about. So the fact that all my actual friends who I care about are all over the world, it affected me a lot through my 20s, and I had to nurture new friendships in my 20s, which were often the people I work with, which is Rajas, Manish, all these guys. Like, they are my real friends who I can like show my inner child to and not be judged. But yeah, all in all, I think the world rips you apart. Like, I didn't, even with BeerBiceps growing, I didn't like the fact that I was very underrated for very long and I always wanted to be recognized. And once I got recognized, I
you got
stopped.
overexposed.
Yeah, I got overexposed. I didn't enjoy not being the cool content creator. I was a very cool content creator after, but now I'm mainstream. And now everyone wants to watch a hero fall. So I sense that a lot. I sense people always trying to pull us down, but it's okay. I knew that this is how life would be. This is how it happens to anyone who goes mainstream. But I just miss being cool and underrated.
It's okay. Your piles of money can now comfort you. It's okay.
That's true, which is a great point in this podcast to head into our meme reaction segment.
Okay.
This is an outcome of being mainstream. Have you seen any of our BeerBiceps
I
memes?
actually do. In fact, I think every week I probably have 4 different people who send me a BeerBiceps video going like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "Why are you asking me?"
This happens to all my friends and family. Like
I don't know. I think people on the internet, they take things way too seriously. Like just calm down. Like
what do you mean people take things too seriously?
I don't know. It's a lot of like, how can you say like this? And it's just thoda light lay, bro. Like, it's okay.
Okay, meme reaction time.
Okay.
Okay, so my team compiled these memes
Okay.
for this episode.
Okay.
Let's begin. We can
Okay.
begin by playing. खुश हो लाइफ में?
हाँ खुश हो
Yeah? क्यों खुश हो?
Pause.
Why do you ask people why they're happy? Why do you want to like burst their bubble of existence, man?
It's real conversation, man. I want to know why they're happy.
I mean, like a lot of the times it's just like a knee-jerk reaction. I'm fine.
So when the Raghav Chadda meme came out, first of all, it feels very validating when you see memes. Okay, so there are people who might think that when I see my own memes, I feel bad. That's not true at all. Because the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference.
Yeah,
So when you're memed, It's
That you're still relevant?
okay. I think it's important to be relevant in meme culture if you're going mainstream. And the people who have to actually find the depth will go to that podcast anyway and find the depth.
Yeah, but like, okay, but you won't get like a. So there will be a certain audience that doesn't know you, that doesn't know your work, but all they know of you are these like memes.
That's okay.
But
Because, see, okay, my counter to that is we have such a big variety of podcasts that there's something for everyone. So if someone gets to know me through the memes, that's okay, because at some point they will come across my YouTube channel and then scan it. So it's a very 2023 way of looking at it.
okay,
And I don't think, like, I'm also saying this as a digital professional.
okay.
I think it's very important to be a part of meme culture. That's just how I look at it.
No, I get it, because I feel like nothing can go as viral as a meme and you will reach a lot more people. I just feel like, considering that your podcast is like really serious and it has like a lot of things of value to give the world, it feels a little sad sometimes that people like judge it based on whatever
okay.
like 10-second meme they see. You know?
It's fine.
Okay, let's see the next one.
Yeah. जब लोगों को दुख होता है ना आजकल, तब राजपाल यादव मीम टाइप करते हैं सर्च बार पे. ऐसे करते हो कि राजपाल यादव मीम या राजपाल यादव कॉमेडी सीन्स?
नहीं, ऐसे सब दोस्त वगैरह और सब
आपके सामने करते हैं?
वो दिखा देते हैं.
आपको शर्म फील होती है ये सब करते?
Hey, are you ashamed of your body of work? Like,
No. See, this is the power of cutting things in a particular way. The context there was different in the actual podcast. I asked him, आपको शर्म फील होती है जब मैं आपको आपके ही clips दिखा रहा हूँ, because it's weird to show someone their own shit.
Okay.
So I think if you watch the whole podcast, that
Yeah,
context
but
comes
this
through.
is what I'm trying to tell you. That
It's
context
fine.
doesn't come through. Whatever.
I spoke to Tanmay about this in detail. He said that, dude, I probably wouldn't do the job you're doing, because when you're releasing that much content, you will be memed and reeled and all that. And you have to just be ready for it.
But doesn't it bother you that like people take things out of context and then kind of use that as an excuse to like, you know, box you into something?
It would have bothered me if I hadn't released work that I'm proud of. But like internally, I'm very proud of like the library of work I've done.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's the honest truth. And this isn't like a strong facade. Do you feel I'm giving a strong facade?
Not really. I feel like maybe on some level, I don't know. Like ever since you were a kid, a lot of people have told you, "Hey, Ranveer, ye mat kar.
Yeah.
Kya kar raha hai? Like, what are you doing?" But you've like just done it. So maybe it's just like your personality only.
I think it's important to be made fun of when you're a kid if you intend on being famous in life.
I guess, but you were by all metrics a fairly popular kid and not really. I don't know that a lot of people were necessarily making fun of you. It was just more like, what the is this decision making, dude? Like that was what it was.
I look at meme culture as an extension of my teenage. Like, as in, this is kind of.
So that's how
do you know what he said? Do you know what he did? Great. Bring me the brand money.
But don't you feel like, okay, so for example, suppose like someone just watches this video, right? Out of context. Are you ever worried that a guest would see it and go like, oh, I won't be treated correctly on this show?
No. I mean, so the closest that this has happened is, say we had Guru Randhawa come in that day and he referenced some meme that...
Yeah, I got sent that 4 times.
No, that's a Guru Randhawa meme. I'm saying he himself was talking about another meme. I think he was talking about the Bhumi meme, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
He's like, I saw it. Cool. Like, the people who come on the show are very familiar with the dynamics of media and fame. So
Okay.
even they kind of look at it as meme culture as mainstream culture.
Okay.
The one time I did have doubts about trolls and all that was when journalists started writing a lot of like negative articles. And I'm going to do a name dropping flex. Should I be doing a name dropping?
Tell you, it's your show.
I asked
Uh,
and a certain former captain of the Indian cricket team. It was my biggest idol who I will choose not to name,
okay.
which I think people know.
Okay.
And all three kind of told me the same thing.
Okay.
They effectively said that when you hit the mainstream, people will try pulling you down. You have to play through your heart, not your brain. Because your brain will then analyze it and ask yourself questions about what you're doing. But the process got you so far. So you shouldn't care about the negative outcomes of the process.
I think it also depends on what level of control issues one has. You know,
As in?
because like what you're essentially doing is that you're putting yourself out there, but how people choose to take what you're putting and consume it is never in your control, right? Like people will choose like it doesn't remain your thing anymore, it just becomes like a whole other animal of its own. I personally feel I have too many control issues for that to ever work for me as like a life.
The way I look at content is once I have published it, I forget about that piece of content. Be it the fact that it returns in the form of memes, it doesn't matter to me because it's very like focus on the present, focus on building a bigger future. And my gauge for success or a lack of it, honestly, is the numbers and money. Because that's why I began this career. And if both are just going up, it means you're doing something right.
I guess. Yeah.
आपका अपने बच्चे से डिवोर्स नहीं होता ना, वो कितना तंग करे आपको, होता है? हो नहीं, बताओ, मैं I'm asking you.
It's relatable. Everyone goes through that.
It's like it looks like you weren't sure whether she was asking you a question directly or she was making a statement.
She was saying some stuff that I knew would make headlines. So
you were like, oh, keep saying.
Yeah, my state of mind was, what else do you want to say, Neena ma'am? This is very interesting. So that's about it.
Okay.
I didn't want to interrupt her flow. So when she said that, I think what she said was the beginning of the next sentence. So I didn't want to like stop her. That was just me being polite.
Okay. Cool.
आप दिल्ली आओगे मेरे पास
जी 100%.
बिना कैमरा के?
Yes.
Oh, I like this.
बहुत कुछ बातें
कुछ
करनी है.
देखेंगे, कुछ देखेंगे,
Okay. ठीक
कुछ
है.
दिखाऊंगा,
क्या देखा?
कुछ महसूस कराऊंगा,
Okay. Okay.
That
क्योंकि वो हर एक को नहीं करा
very
सकता.
creepy, man.
जो कर सकता है उसी को महसूस करा सकते हैं.
I understand, bro.
Do you? Do you understand? I'm not sure I
If you
understood.
read any of the comment sections, it's very sexual. The comment section.
It sounds very sexual.
No.
Which is why I'm asking you, do you understand what he was saying?
I actually did. I kind of have a vibe about what he was going to show me, which wasn't anything sexual. We had some spiritual conversation off camera as well in that podcast. So that's why this happened.
Okay.
But the moment he started saying that, there was a part of my brain that went, oh, this is going to make it a meme culture. So there's a moment where I'm like I'm nodding.
Say
But
it.
actually my internal voice is saying, this is going to be a part of some meme.
Okay.
Which happened. So anyway. Sir, ये जो भी सपने हैं, ये कितने दूर हैं? Realistically.
सर आप एक बात याद रखना, मैं सपने दिखाने वाला नहीं हूँ.
नहीं वो वैसे मैं नहीं कर रहा.
नहीं आप गलत फहमी मत करना. तुम नहीं, हिंदुस्तान का कोई पत्रकार मुझे उस उल्टा हर चीज के जवाब है और प्रूवन एग्जांपल है.
सर मैं पत्रकार नहीं हूँ. There's nothing to say. I actually got
You
scared.
really look scared. Let's move on to someone else.
लोगों की सोच भी यहाँ तक नहीं पहुँचती है. सन से
Oh my God,
तक
4
लाइट को
people
पहुँचने के लिए
saying
8 मिनट लगते. और लोग कहते हैं, साइंटिस्ट ये मानते हैं कि यूनिवर्स में सबसे फास्ट चीज लाइट होती है. अगर ये सच है, then why is it that अगर आप अभी सन के सरफेस के बारे में सोच रहे हो, तो आपके थॉट्स तुरंत वहां तक पहुंचते हैं. मतलब आपके थॉट्स लाइट से भी ज्यादा फास्ट. You wanna say anything?
Just why?
Because it was just a philosophical, poetic thing to say. Like, and I didn't at any point say that this is science. But the thing is, I know made a meme that kind of it annoyed me because I think it was done in a little bad energy. You know, sometimes you just know when memes, like I don't mind any of the other memes till this point, but this particular meme, even the way it was done on Twitter, it was done with bad energy.
It was definitely done with a look at BeerBiceps peddling his pseudoscience.
But I never said it's science. That's
Which someone would have to watch the video to see, which again brings me back to my original question of like, how come you're okay with like how people can just do whatever they want with your content?
because I think that when you're 50 and your whole body of work is complete, people see the averaged out body of work rather than these moments. This is what I've seen throughout my career.
Yeah, that's
because we had controversy in the past also. So at this point, I know that there's too many people who actually want to spoil the BeerBiceps name, spoil TRS name, and it is somewhere coming out of a place of envy. But you can't like help it. So I had got a little upset when I saw this, but not upset to the point where I was like, oh, how can they say this about me? Upset because this has totally been taken out of context. I never said that that's science. But you know, the fact that people are doing it again, it's not hate. It's like
I don't know. In some cases, I do feel like
You feel it's hate?
a little bit. In some cases, I'm sure that in a lot of memes, like you can actually tell when someone is just like memeing for funs.
This Guru Randhawa meme is the only time where I felt it's been done in bad taste.
I do feel that too because like I saw it and like I don't know. I just
The thing is, they also don't highlight all the medical podcasts we do, all the astrophysics podcasts.
of course not,
we do.
because like those don't get like, first of all, unfortunately our culture is fueled in a way that only negative stuff gets like high clicks. So like no headline that says BeerBiceps doing honest and great job is ever going to get a click. But BeerBiceps peddles pseudoscience like f***ing 10 million
You know what
clicks.
it doesn't change? This is what people don't understand. Okay, and this is me doing a bit of a flex. I've entered rooms with some very nice established people, and there are often people in those rooms who have seen my stuff and don't reference pseudoscience as a tag. They say the depth as you know, something they watch the show for, which is the long-term validation for my work, because I know it's not going to appeal to everyone. That's something you learn with age, that no matter what you do, all your work is not going to appeal to everyone.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, what it is, dude. It's a part of being in media. Also, all in all, like the averaged out experience of my life is insane. Like it's an insane life. It's entourage happening in real life. Okay?
Yeah, I know.
If you told me at 12, 13, 14 that my life would be like this, I would have been like very excited.
I think you would have died in that moment only and never like, you know, realized that life. So it's a good thing you didn't know.
Yeah. Which is why I understand, you know, the long-term scheme of things. That, dude, it's been like an insanely nice life. And at the end of your career, people are going to average out your career. They never remember just the viral meme from the Guru Randhawa podcast. It's too small a blip. And it shows that there are people who want to paint, you know, dirty paint onto your PR, onto your brand image. But if you keep like working in the long term, people will recognize your body of work, which I think is happening. Again, for like people, maybe this is the engineer in me speaking, but the truth is always in the numbers. So
I agree with you because like those numbers don't lie and numbers aren't biased. I feel like everyone operates from their very inherent biases and everyone has like something that is like bothering them, which is honestly related to them only, but then they project it onto you. And I feel like at this point you have become a little bit of an easy target.
because it's just I'm out there.
Yeah, because you're out there and you're everywhere, and like obviously not everyone is happy to see other people's success.
Plus, I get to meet cricketers on the show, and I realize how much more intense their version of this thing is.
Oh, I'm sure. Like I'm
because
sure.
there it's your physical attributes that.
Cricket is a religion, no, in India. So like I'm sure that the pressure on them is like really intense.
That's something I don't think I'd have the emotional stability to deal with after getting to know them firsthand, and how their personal lives are spoken about and how they're professional. That's a whole other conversation. So YouTubers are not there, and I don't think YouTubers will ever really reach there. But okay, for example, my biggest idol, one of my biggest media idols in the world is Joe Rogan. Okay, when I say that publicly sometimes at parties, people will be like, yuck, how can you like Joe Rogan, etc. Isn't he an XYZ? And they're just saying it based on the negative PR they've heard, which in my case is negative memes. Isn't he dumb? Isn't it pseudoscience? But then there'll always be people in the room who will defend Joe Rogan. So my hope and anticipation is when your body of work is that big, you make it to people's houses. You make it to people's living rooms.
Yeah.
And eventually their parents will only tell them that, no, dude, maybe, this is the other side of it, which has happened in many cases. Like this, the last 1 or 2 years, my TG, like the people I'm targeting has been like our parents' age group. So I like it. I don't mind a few kids hating on me.
My mother found out about my last podcast with you because her students saw it and they were like, is this your daughter? So like that's how she found out. So yes, they are very well aware. My mother knows more about what you're doing. I've had like my aunts come to me and go like, oh, BeerBiceps, BeerBiceps. So I listened to his podcast. So like, yeah.
Again, long-term scheme of things, people remember the averaged out body of your work. So it's important. That's why, at least in my eyes, it's important to, as a content creator, you have to put out a huge quantity of work. That's just how I look at shit.
Yeah.
Like the biggest content creator in the country today is Carrie Minati. And he is also heavily criticized for his own quirks. But that doesn't stop him from being the biggest content creator because numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
So in content creation, no matter who you are, you can be Carrie Minati, Tanmay, Nikhil Kamath, Prajakta Kohli, anyone, everyone gets criticized. It's something I spoke to Manish about in terms of he had worked with people from the startup industry, from cricket a little bit, from the world of acting. I asked him, what's unique about the world of content creation? He's like, there's massive ups and massive downs. It's kind of like cricket only. Massive ups are the rewards and access and all you get. Don't need to talk about the influencer life. But he said the massive downs are, he's not seen industries with this level of scrutiny and personal criticism. So you need to be thoda thick-skinned to be a part of it. Scout is one of the country's biggest gaming content creators. He also said the same thing. That if you have shame inside you, then don't be a content creator. You have to be a little shameless.
I would argue that one has to be a little shameless to get through life only. Like, while you have a little shame, you're not going to really be able to go after every single thing that you want. And also, a lot of the times, the shame is just like societal crap that's internalized.
Okay, maybe I'd replace what he said with sensitivity. I think you can't be sensitive when you're a content creator.
Yeah.
Like if you're too sensitive to what people say, then this is not
you have
the...
to be thick-skinned, basically. Like,
very deeply thick-skinned. Like, because anyway, like there are lines that people cross online often, but you can't do anything because it's the downside of fame.
I know. And like people have, I don't know, the internet has become very toxic recently, and like Instagram especially has become very toxic.
So we should move on to the memes again.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Let's come down to the serious questions. आप फैप करते हैं? हाँ भाई, दिन में 4 बार करे हूँ. आज एक होटल में भी करके आया हूँ. You कभी ना है, कभी खड़ा ना हुआ.
This is the difference between, like, so okay, as a content creator, when you're seeing someone talk about you or mimic you, you always know the origin point of it. I'm not able to articulate exactly how, but it's not from a bad place here. It was from a bad place in that Guru Randhawa meme. Like you just know sometimes based on how it's edited, how someone's even acting, there's nuances you pick up. So with this, I actually felt extremely validated.
It's also put in a lot of effort into this set. Like, honestly, for the first time when I saw this, I was like, did you loan out your set so he could do this?
Like all that, dude, like the attention to detail, like you see the green prop behind you, look behind you.
I know, which is why I said that it looks exactly like your set.
I was blown away. That's how, if someone can pay this much attention to detail, that means I've truly made it commercially.
Yeah.
Go on.
ना हुआ आज तक. ऐसा नहीं है, हो जाता है कभी कभी. अगर कोई हॉट दिख जाए तो, या कोई फोन पे फेंको, दीवार में छेद हो तो, फुटबॉल, मेदू वड़ा, ब्लैक होल, फ्रिस्बी, अनियन रिंग्स, थाला चाबी. कल तो फूलों को देख के हो गया था, वो तो गोल भी नहीं है.
He's got your laugh right now.
So he messaged me right after this saying, bro, you were one of the most difficult people to mimic. I don't think I'm that difficult to mimic.
There are one or two people who've actually done it really well. I can't remember their names. If I find it again, I'll send it to you.
All in all, validating.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I think
now.
that's good. Like, if you feel validated by the memes, I think it's definitely a very important point to like know that it's what keeps things relevant, and it actually helps a broader audience.
You know, people will get pissed off when I say this, and I'm not at all comparing myself to King Khan. I think he's not just a king, he's an emperor. But when people went, hey, somewhere it helped culturally in his brand image.
100%. There's a reason that he's embedded into our like social fabric, right?
Yeah.
Like he's just iconic.
Anyone who's culturally important gets either mimicked or memed or something.
Actually, that's a very good point, because I think that like if people hadn't maybe picked up on the Kiran, or if this thing hadn't like for a while it becomes people making fun of you, and I think eventually it changes into the thing that makes you iconic. Because it's that thing that is so like uniquely you, that if anytime you see a man doing this, you know that, oh bro, he's trying to be Shah Rukh Khan. So like it's probably also that like the life cycle of the thing changes from it just being like mean spirited to eventually it becoming the thing that like makes you instantly recognizable.
What do you think Shah Rukh Khan has done right on a very human level, dude? I'll have a go at it first. I think he's actually been very, very obsessed with his career. I actually think that that's the case. And I would argue, I'd love to actually speak to him on the show at some point and ask him this exact question. Because if you want to learn about success, he is like the guy you should learn from. And I do believe that behind the scenes, he's probably had somewhat of an unbalanced life, because you can't achieve that level of success, fame, and money without living a slightly unbalanced life.
But I mean, that's just, you asked me on a human level. What do you think it has been on a human level? Because being obsessed with his career is like also like a little bit compartmentalized in the professional capacity, right? But like there is a reason that like people love Shah Rukh Khan, despite the fact that like outside of these like 2-3 movies that have come out this year, he had probably like stopped acting, right? Like for a whole period in between where there were like no movies with Shah Rukh coming out, but that didn't reduce how much people love him. So what is it on a human level?
Intelligence, like too much street smart, too much challenging yourself. This was, I'll tell you, in year 8 of being in media, I feel a little tired of like challenging myself. Little tired. I can't imagine what he's feeling in year 30 or 40 or wherever he's at. 30, right? 1990 roughly. Yeah. 33 years
33
in media.
years.
I can't imagine what stamina, ambition, obsession it's taking.
I imagine it's become like a part of life for him now. That like even consistently challenging yourself can eventually become just like a part of your personality, right? Because you've done it for so long that it can just become who you are as a person. I personally think it's his dignity though. Like he has maintained his like dignity and his integrity through everything. And I think that really comes through on some subconscious level even to a viewer, where like you respect Shah Rukh Khan. Like whatever he does, no matter if his movie is good, if his movie is trash, it doesn't matter. It's like you respect who he is as a person and how he's gotten to where he is.
And yet even he has haters.
And he also has haters, I'm sure, but like he's just so, he's like just takes everything on the chin, and he seems like a sorted guy.
I don't think there's been a more loved celebrity that I can remember. Maybe Kohli. I don't know. You say Kohli?
I mean, I look at Kohli as again someone to like admire. His whole brand is that he's like gotten to where he is like through hard work and discipline and persistence, and like it's nice. And like I think the vibe that he has with Anushka Sharma is also really nice. I think that also helped. Like he used to be like a really angry guy, right? Like at the beginning of his career, and like I think people would not really focus on how he was playing, but more on like how he was like saying like on the field or whatever. But I think he's like done that very gracefully, that entire flip.
I was debating with some cousins of mine about who's more famous, because Kohli right now is gaining a lot of fame in the States and in the West generally for his Instagram numbers and all. There's reels about how big his Instagram numbers are.
Okay.
I think he's the 3rd biggest after Ronaldo and Messi, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong.
Okay.
But I'm sure he's in the top 5 at least.
Okay.
So my argument was that maybe Kohli in 5 years' time might overtake Shah Rukh Khan in terms of fame. And there were some foreigners sitting with us. And those foreigners were like, no way, we've heard of Shah Rukh Khan since our childhood.
I don't think that it has to be like...
You don't have to compare the two.
Yeah, you don't have to compare the two. Both of them can like coexist very peacefully, because both of them are in different... Like, why do we have to reduce the number of good role models that we have by putting them in competition with each other? It's perfectly fine to have like 2 decent famous men for people to look up to, rather than like all of us just like focusing on...
Behtar kaun hai?
Fuck that. Like, yeah, I'm sure they worked so hard in their life so that like some no-name girl can go like, actually, no, but I think Shah Rukh is better. Like, come on, dude. Like, it's very important like to have as many good role models as we possibly can, because honestly, the internet needs Jesus. Like we need it. We need the good like character role models to look up to. It's really sad that we're here.
That's a mature thing for you to say, Nandini.
Okay, I guess. But how do you feel about it? Why are you comparing them?
It makes for good conversation on the show.
Okay.
Which is also what leads to a lot of memes. Sometimes you know that something might lead to a meme.
Wink, wink.
What do we talk about now?
I don't know. I've been struggling with the lack of conviction to do anything anymore. which is kind of what I asked you. Do you feel like you know less now, and is that okay?
I definitely know less every single year because I learn so much more every year. I realize,
Yeah.
oh, didn't know this and didn't know this and didn't know this.
Yeah, I think it's also about outlook. I feel like a lot of the times it's just motivating for me. By the way, do you know what my motivation song is?
What?
So I rediscovered this song after like a really long time at the beginning of the year, and I play it to myself now. So you heard that song, no? Fatela J. That is now my motivation song.
That's from Aankhe.
Yeah, it's from
Great
Aankhe.
film.
The film was fine. It had like some really weird scenes now that I think about it.
Where
like
they
in
kill
Red-
Paresh Rawal by tickling him.
Yeah, and then he falls on a fence, right? And the fence goes like into his eyes and then he dies. And I was just like, okay, cool. But that song, it has like some universal truth in it.
Like what?
Honestly. It's like about like I think it's kind of more like what you preach, right? About like how
Hustle!
things get better. You have to just like keep moving forward. And I really like it, and I think it appeals to the Bombay Tapori in me at the same time. Like it has like very deep lyrics for a song that literally starts with Fatela James. But like it's a really good song. It's rukne ka nahi, thakne ka nahi, life mein chalte rehne ka. Like, I love it.
Speaking about great films, I don't think Kho Gaye Hum Kahan is spoken about enough. And I'll tell you why I think it's a great film.
I love it.
I'll also definitely say that a lot of people didn't relate with it. People our age from urban India related to it a lot. My own cousins who live abroad couldn't understand what's happening in the film. Like they didn't really vibe with the film.
Okay.
And I have some older relatives, and by older I mean like 35, 36. Even they didn't exactly understand what's going on, but I think what was shown in the film was a representation of urban Gen Zs in so many ways, and urban millennial culture also to a large degree. Great acting, very psychologically intense script, intense characterization, and I personally feel that if I ever have kids and they turn 20, I'll want to show them Kho Gaye Hum Kahan as a time capsule movie, that this is how life used to be in 2023 or 2024. That's how nice I think that movie was. I might even watch it again because I think there's layers in that movie. Like
Yeah.
you'll pick up something new every time you watch it. People are saying shit like it's the new generation's Dil Chahta Hai. I don't think it's that
I don't think it's there.
impactful, but it's a great film. Like seeing that film gave me hope about what else in the Hindi film industry is going to produce, because it was a very culturally relevant film.
Yeah, I actually really liked it. I was not expecting anything from it. I thought it was just one of those like time pass watches that I would kind of do. I was not expecting that film to hit me as hard as it did. There's that scene with Ananya Pandey where she's like trying to avoid her phone and she's like whatever working at her desk. That was just like a little too real, you know?
For me, it was how they showed Instagram and Instagrammers. And I know so many I'm an Instagrammer myself. It's very apt. A lot of the shit they shown is very real.
It was a very good film. I actually really liked it. And for the first time, I felt that Bollywood produced a film where, have you noticed how like when they're trying to show youth and youth culture and youths having fun, there's like a very typical like, oh my God, let's do shots, like that whole clubbing scene, the shots scene, and that's how people have fun. And it's kind of reductive of people and put whatever. That's a whole other like little TED talk of its own.
You can open that up.
No, in the sense of like, I feel like it sets wrong expectations for people. It shows them that like you can't, like if you're not going out and clubbing, then you're not really having fun. And like, I feel there are a lot of different types of people in the world. Not everyone has to do the same thing. That's what I'm saying. It's a whole other thing. What I liked about this movie is just that I didn't really cringe in this movie at like how the youth was being depicted. And like as a former member of the youth, like I used to like be like kind of like, this is not what we're like. And like this film actually felt like I don't know, I found some kind of representation for myself in that movie.
Like all of us know a character in that movie, all of us are a character in that
Exactly,
movie.
right? Like I could see parts of myself in like maybe all of them. Like
Yeah,
a little
parts
bit.
of myself in all of them. That's so true. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. First question is, give some must watch recommendations of movies or shows, even if you just want to give one or two, that's fine, from this last year. For me, I would say Kho Gaya Hum Kahan, for telling you the truth about at least urban India. Okay? And maybe second, what's another great thing that we watched and discussed?
I told you mine was Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was my favorite movie of the year. Actually, there were two movies that were my favorite movies of the year. Everything Everywhere All at Once was for my soul, and Theatre Camp, which is the other one, was for my shits and giggles. Like, it was way too funny, and it had no right being as funny as it was as a movie. But maybe it's a little bit niche. I know that not everyone will like it, but I loved it. Everything Everywhere All at Once, I feel, should honestly be like it should be on those lists of like a movie that you must see
Before you die.
Yeah, I really believe that.
Give some context. What's the movie about?
So on the face of it, actually, the movie is not really about anything. Basically, it's there's a lot of dimension hopping and like being able to essentially take on skills that you might have had in another life. But at its very core, it's kind of a story of like a mother and daughter relationship, and about like how this woman, like this immigrant mom, she's never found a way to connect with her child. And then in another universe, her child becomes like this massive like villain who is trying to essentially end the universe as it is, because all she sees of the universe is suffering. So it's a very deep film. It's a film that actually requires a lot of watchings to kind of get it. There are a lot of what the scenes in it, okay? Like, there's one scene where they're just like two rocks with like googly eyes with like subtitles where they're talking to each other. And it's a very like, if you're not into like the whole like arty thing, you're probably going to go like, bro, what is this? But actually that scene in itself is so like nice, because even in that they managed to find like emotional nuance. So I think also it had something to do with where I was in life emotionally at that point. But I think that movie just like drives home the fact that you can be anything that you want, but at the end of the day, the only place you really should be is with the people who love you and the people that you love. And it has like a really nice message, and it's shot so well, and it's really funny, and it's like heartbreaking, and it was just an amazing watch. I loved it. It was like my top pick of the year.
Give a piece of life advice to end the podcast.
The one thing that I'm currently doing for myself, I was a huge procrastinator. Like, I spent my whole life just like pushing things off and choosing not to do like things that felt hard or difficult or anything like that. I feel like I wasted a lot of my life, because by choosing to make those decisions, I took away from a lot of the things that I could have been doing, or took away from the time that I could have otherwise spent with people that I loved. Don't be a procrastinator is all I have to tell you, is the only real life advice that I'm currently working on for myself. And maybe like, don't be so self-conscious, just go out and do whatever you want. It really doesn't matter in the end.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. See you next year.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
That was the episode for today. Honestly, I'd love to do casual, no agenda podcasts like this. I know that TRS is built out of knowledge extraction based podcasts and deeply informative episodes. But personally, I would love to do this kind of content. I just don't think that there's that many takers. We have experimented with this style about 2 years ago. So honestly, for me, this episode was an experiment. Whenever I speak to Nandini, this is the actual kind of conversation we have. I'm sure you could tell from the show. She's someone I learn from a lot. She's someone who has a very analytical viewpoint on life. So I just wanted to share that with you guys on today's episode. Please tell me what you thought of this one. I have a bunch of other really smart friends who are not necessarily conventionally famous, but who have incredible podcasts within them. So if this one gets views, maybe we'll bring on some more gems, just like Nandini Shenoy. Make sure you go follow her everywhere on her social media handles, and look out for the next episode of TRS.